So one of the questions that I get asked a lot is if it's a good idea for somebody to purchase a home if they're only going to live in a place for a short amount of time. And I wrote a blog article that goes in depth talking about all of my reasoning to help people figure out whether it's a good or bad idea for them. Everybody's situation is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to tell you my story, why I've chosen to do what I chose to do, and how I advise my clients now. So I moved to Louisville in 2015 to go to Southern Seminary. I was there for 6 years. I was only planning on being there for 5 years, ended up having some personal life situations that came up, and I decided to stay for longer, and now I'm here for the long term, and our family's here, and this is where we live now. And that's actually one of the big factors is you don't always know how life is going to unfold. You don't know what's going to happen. I did not plan on living here long term. I planned on being here for a few years for school and then moving away. And statistically speaking, what we found out is only about 25% of college graduates end up working in the field that they have their degree in. And just from my own personal experience and talking with other folks here in Louisville, a lot of folks end up thinking that they are going to leave and go somewhere else. And they don't. They end up staying for much longer than they had planned. So that's something to keep in mind. But my story was that I was going to be here for a few years, and then it turned into a long time. So I was here for 3 years. I was living in an apartment at that third year and decided I was tired of paying rent to a landlord. So I wanted to look into purchasing a home. I had the ability to have the money for the down payment and for the closing costs, and I actually was fortunate enough that my realtor was able to get the closing costs covered by the seller. Homes were significantly cheaper back then. That year would have been 2019. And so that's where we've been. And what I could not count on was that I was going to be here for a very long time, and that eventually this would be my long-term plan to live here in the area. I also couldn't account for the fact that my home would double or nearly double in value in just 4 years, which is unheard of, unprecedented, and very likely will not happen ever again, or at least not in my time. In the same way that we'll very likely never see interest rates get back to what they were. So this question of, is it a good idea? There's an element of, do you really know that you're going to be there for a short amount of time, or are you just speculating? Because really the thing that you have to figure out more than anything else is this. Is it going to be a good return on your investment to go ahead and purchase a home? Even if your mortgage payment is the same or less than what your rent is, it may still not be a good idea because of two factors. One is what you need someone like me for. You need to be able to evaluate repairs, try to get those negotiated on the front end, because repairs and maintenance are going to be the things, especially if there's big issues, that are going to affect your end game profits on the sale of your purchase when you go to sell it in the future. The other thing is that you need to be mindful of capital gains and the way that capital gains is going to interact with the cost that you have sunk into the property with maintenance and repair. So capital gains is, if you don't know what it is, a tax which is only on the amount of profit that you receive when you sell your house. So if you have no profit, you won't pay any capital gains tax. Now there's short-term gain, long-term gain. Short-term gain is if you sell the property in the first 12 months that you own it, you're going to pay roughly about 40% of the profit of the gain that you made on the property in capital gains tax. If you sell it between months 12 and 24, you're going to pay about 20%, maybe 25% of your gain in capital gains tax. That would be long-term capital gains tax. That paired with the amount of money that you have to spend in maintenance, repairs, that kind of stuff, is going to be what determines whether it's a good idea for you to go ahead and purchase a home or not. So it's very important. It's the most important thing, besides just making sure that all of the mortgage numbers work. The most important thing is making sure you're making a good buy, which is making sure that you're not sinking way too much money into this thing on the front end for how much you're going to be able to profit off of it when you go to resell it in the future. That's going to be a function of how long you stay in the home, market changes, that kind of stuff. But you can pretty much bank on an average year-over-year appreciation here in the Louisville market of about 3 to 4%. Anything outside of that would be considered exceptional, either exceptionally good or exceptionally poor, depending on the year. So those are the things that I would take into consideration when you're thinking about whether it's a good idea to purchase a home for the short term. I have a lot of seminary students, a lot of college and grad school students who come to Louisville and want to talk to me about should I rent or should I buy. These are the kinds of things that I say to those folks, and I hope it's helpful for you. If you have questions for me, feel free to text me, call me, email me. All my stuff is going to be below, and I am thankful for the opportunity that you gave me to speak to you.